Good evening. Thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Leo Mercado. I'm the town clerk. I've been the town clerk for a little over a year now. It's been a great experience for me. I'm here with my deputy town clerk, Alicia Barak. She's been the deputy town clerk for a little over a year as well. So we continue to learn and grow and develop the office into a top-level town clerk's office here in the Commonwealth. We recently hired Cheryl Longton. She's our new administrative assistant on a part-time basis. And in our office, we've made great strides through the use of new technology. So we have dedicated time to research available software and databases that would streamline our ability to serve the town of Acton. Through communication with other clerks in the Commonwealth, we've been able to discover what has worked for others and what has not worked. Even though it may not have worked for a different community, we still stopped, considered the different software packages and databases that were available, and thought about it, would it work for Acton? Because what didn't work for one community doesn't mean it wouldn't work for ours. So we came up with a few solutions. The first one we came up with was the use of OpenGov for business certificate applications. So up until this time, we were taking in paper applications, which would take typically about 2 weeks to process, because they'd sit on somebody's desk for a few days, and then they'd sit on the next person's desk for a few days. So you'd get frustrated business owners and things like that. It held up their businesses and their ability to open checking accounts, things like that. So we looked into that, and with coordination with our planning department, which Alicia was a part of at that time. She was one of the key architects for developing that software program. So we use that through our OpenGov program. It's very beneficial to everybody. Now, typically we turn around a business certificate in less than a week. So it's very helpful because it goes right to all 4 different departments' email addresses. They view it, and if they can, they can approve it immediately, they do. It's just a click of the button instead of reading through paperwork and things like that. So it's a much better process. And then the other database that we rolled out earlier this year was our marriage intentions online. So this one was, something that really, it just bothered me that people had to come in, make time out of their day, and come into our office during business hours. Both parties had to come in, fill out the application paperwork at the office. Sometimes they'd be a little stressed out there. They're making calls to their families. So, how do you spell mom's last name? How do you spell? It's like, just all this other things. Now online, they can apply for this anywhere in the world as long as they've got Wi-Fi. They can apply for it, they can pay for it, and if they got to pause in the middle of it to make that call to mom, this and that, do whatever needs to be done, they can do that right in the middle of it and get back to it later. So it makes it a lot easier for everybody. So they're not stressed out at my counter standing there for 45 minutes waiting for the other party to show up. So it just makes things easier for everybody. So we review the application online. Any questions we have, send them a quick email. Is this accurate? We say, if a name happens to be spelled a little differently, we just reach out to them, say, is that accurate? You might want to double check that. So it just makes a much more comfortable experience for all parties involved. And then we came up with 2 databases after talking with a vendor at one of our conferences that we attend. We came up with 2 databases, one for committee paperwork, which, because the spreadsheet that we had been using for the past few years, longer than I've been here, it was just turned into an Excel spreadsheet just with a ridiculous number of lines, columns, and this and that. And it just quickly became a mess. So every year we found ourselves fixing it, and this is no longer aligned. So you basically have to rebuild the spreadsheet every year. So very time consuming. This new database, we put in everyone's information in once. They're assigned an ID number. So now if I create a new committee, I just plug in the ID numbers now, and all the information just automatically populates. Much easier. I can generate reports for any missing information. I can send it off to the various committees, like these 2 committees here. I can send you, I happen to be missing some information. Can you take a quick peek at it? Is this information accurate? Is that email address accurate? Just double check the information for me. So it's a lot easier way to communicate, and it just saves a lot of time for everybody involved. So we don't have one person reviewing everything. It just becomes extremely time consuming when you do it that way. So I'm trying to get away from those spreadsheets as well. But these databases seem to be a lot user-friendly. And then I have another one with our election information. So we can schedule the elections through this one database. I put all my election workers in that database, and I submit that to payroll. Quick, boom, done. It's just one, instead of, I have a sign-in sheet. I can't read this person's name. So I have to figure out who is this person that I'm paying 4 hours to. But now, with this, they're assigned an ID number. I know exactly who it is. I've got all the contact information. I got their payroll information. Send it off to our payroll department. Done. So as far as scheduling, I can schedule the whole year in one day. I have all my elections scheduled out. So just a lot more user-friendly, easier for everybody. Anyone needs a report, generate a report. Here you go. And then, so those are the two databases that we came up with. So, we continue to look for innovation, through these different software packages that are out there. And I consider myself a frugal person. So I spend the town's money like I would my own. So I'm not going to just, go with the first price I see out there. I do my research, I get references, I check on these different companies that are available to us. So I'm not looking for the most expensive person. So we get the best deals we can, and we get the most bang for our buck. And then, let's see. So, and then we've recently, we reviewed the town clerk fees. As of January 1st, we raised the majority of them. The only ones we didn't raise were the dog license fees. So the vital records were increased, the DBA applications increased. So they hadn't been reviewed since 2020. So typically you like to review those every 3 years. It went 5. So, I felt like it was a justified response. I looked at the surrounding communities. So, it was fair and in a timely fashion to raise those fees. So with that, I'm open to take any questions.